I think that a lot of times people are a little bit afraid of wiring on a car. And you know what? It's not that complicated. Sometimes it's a little bit of a pain in the neck, but there's not much to it. It's basically hot, which is your positive, and negative, which is ground. Hot and cold, whatever you want to call it. What we're doing here is this is a hot post on the battery. I have attached this clamp, and the other end of this clamp goes to this wire which I'm holding in my hand. This wire right here, one side goes to one side of this light bulb. This is a dual element light bulb. The other side is grounded, and by grounded I mean this metal is touching the positive post here. So on this plug there's two sides. One side is the running light, one side is the turn signal. If I put this to that plug and I've got a ground, you see my running light, which is not so bright. If I put it in the other plug, you see, well, maybe that's my running light because that's not so bright. So my turn signal, and I must not have much of a ground. And that's what I mean about wiring being a little bit, you know, no wonder it confuses people, because just like me, I'm trying to get the ground to work. The bright side is the turn signal, the dim side is the running light. So this is my turn signal right here, and this is my running light. Now, to get this back together in the fender, it has to ground to the fender, so that means that when I reconnect it, all that stuff has to work. Once all that is working, it's a matter of getting the proper signal to this part of the wire, which plugs into this part of the wire, which runs up in there into the back of the fuse box. And I've got the problem I have is I'm not getting my turn signal. My turn signal isn't getting to here. But I took this all apart before I realized that it wasn't getting to here, and now putting this back together is in itself a chore, because it's hard to get that light bulb in there for starters, and then it's hard to get this in that car and have it all connect properly and ground. This is old 60-year-old stuff, and over the years it's been kind of wallered out, and things have been stripped, and things are just not what they once were here. So it's a little tricky to get this old stuff working, and it takes some patience, which I've got plenty of. It doesn't cost much to have patience, it's free. So I'm going to stick this back in, I'm going to make sure this is working, and then I'm going to address the reason why I don't have fire to here. Now I know that my turn signal is working in the back of the car. So I know the turn signal is working, I know the flasher is working, I know the turn signal indicator is working. Somewhere between all of that, the lights from the front of the car and the back of the car should connect together, and wherever that's happening at, it's not happening. I've gone to the fuse box and found the plug where it goes from here into the fuse box, and at that point there's nothing flashing. So whatever I'm losing beyond that. Now there's two ways to fix that. Kind of take all of everything apart, which is something that should be done with this car. At some point, you know, it was my thought that I was kind of going to take everything apart and rewire the whole thing. And that would be one way to fix it. Another way to fix it would be just run a wire all the way to the back light and run that wire up into under the back seat, under the carpet, out through the firewall, and back up here and plug it in here. What I'm in effect doing at that point is I'm bypassing the point where the short is, wherever that is. I have some pretty good thoughts on where it is, because I'm going to talk about how we get from the battery to the turn signal. We have a hot wire that goes to the flasher, and as soon as the other side of that flasher is grounded out, it will flash. That wire runs up into the steering column. Inside the steering column there's a turn signal switch. When that turn signal switch connects that wire with the turn signals, it fires the light on the back and the front of the car, which creates a ground. There's probably one wire that runs up in the steering column and back out, and at some point that joins to two wires. One goes to the front, one goes to the back. That's more than likely the place where something has not connected, and that's what I'm going to have to fix. And there's two, like I say, there's two ways to do that. I would not mind taking the whole dash out of this, pulling the steering column apart, pulling all the wires kind of out, redoing the whole wiring, which is a pretty big task. On the other hand, since Josh is coming like in a couple of days and I'm kind of limited on my time, I may just you know, go grab the hot wire on the back and run it all the way to the front and just explain to him what I'm doing, and if he wants to take the thing apart and rewire it, he can. If he wants to run it that way, he can. Either way, it's going to work the same. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this light back in here and get it all where I know it's working good, and then I'm going to address how to get the turn signal fire to here to where it needs to be.